Welcome to For Collectors.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our channel, For Collectors, a channel that's for collectors like you. I'm Theo. I'm the host today, and today I'm going back to my roots. We are doing a collector to collector episode. It's some of my favorite type of content to make, and especially when I have a newer channel. This channel I have on today, I think he's only been on for about 7 months now. So I'm going to bring him in a second. But as you saw in the intro, Hobby Palooza is around the corner, guys, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. John is already working on the preview show where he's going to show you what shows will be on each night. But we're going to be Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. So please mark that on your calendars. We hope to see you there for some of the shows. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in my guest. He's becoming a very close friend of mine. We've met through this YouTube sports card thing. So let me bring him in right now. None other than Daniel from Classy Sports Cards. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Theo. Really happy to be on. This is my official first show outside of my own channel. So thank you for taking a chance on me.
Oh, of course, man. Of course. You came out strong. You started throwing haymakers out the gate. So why don't we start with let's start with a couple basic questions if somebody hasn't seen your channel. How long have you been on YouTube, and how long have you been watching YouTube card content now?
I guess the content of watching other YouTubers, it's been years.
Really?
And my son started a channel many years ago and has over 150,000 subscribers. And One day we were out at breakfast and he said, Dad, you ought to show off some of your cards. I said, Daniel, I don't really think that I have the knowledge that some of the bigger boys like Blue Jacket 66, yourself, and Mike Moynihan, and all those big boys. I like to take it in a different direction, be real entertaining and show some really good cards. I just don't want to be all sizzle and no steak. I want to make sure that I have the cards to back up the drama and the excitement that I'm trying to create before I show each card.
Yeah, I understand. I went through a similar thing. I waited on the sideline for over a year because I didn't feel like my cards stacked up. But I kind of wish I would have jumped in sooner to kind of show the progress of even getting that first, second, third card. But I understand where you're coming from for sure. So you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. But what were some of the channels that you watched prior to making that plunge, and maybe that helped inspire you in some way?
Definitely Mike. Baseball card collector, and cool. Greg Midlife Sports Cards. I mean, they were the two that influenced. And then you, Theo. I mean, one of my first shows, I think it was my second show, I gave you a shout out. And I showed a Clemente card and I said, "This is for you, Clemente collector." So
that was a 71.
Pardon me?
71 too, my favorite.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a lot about it, but you have a very unique style to your channel. What was that inspiration to start that style? Like, where'd that come from?
Well, I don't like to watch things that are going to put me to sleep. So I figured, how can I separate myself from all the other YouTubers, from the way I dress to the cards that I present and the way I go about it. And I just didn't want to be like everybody else. I had to do something to separate myself from the pack, but I kept it real simple. Be entertaining and show quality cards. You can't go wrong with that formula. And I think there's always room for good content and someone taking a different slant on the way they present their cards. I mean, it's real simple. We're all just showing off cards and talking about baseball cards. It's a hobby that we all love. And I just wanted to create my own flavor and try to separate myself a little bit from the pack.
Yeah, you're definitely a showman, Daniel. So, the thing that was the biggest surprise to me when I got to
The
know
dance
you
moves?
better. No, actually, the thing that surprised me the most is the fact that you have a flip phone. So, how does a guy, how does a guy with a flip phone have one of the most technically
I
savvy
res
shows out
I
there on
re
YouTube?
I resent that. I just I'm still caught up in Star Trek, and I just love the ability to be able to flip it. And no, seriously, I have an iPad which I'm talking to you on right now that keeps me connected with the rest of society. But I have a genius son who's so technologically savvy, and he's what helps it all to come about. I come up with the ideas, and then Daniel assembles the puzzle. It's the best way to put it. If you ever had Legos, you see they come in like little bags.
Uh-huh.
I tell Daniel exactly what I want the picture to look like on the box. I put them in little bags, and then Daniel does all the brilliant assembly. And then we both just laugh hysterically as we're assembling it.
That is really cool. I love the fact that it's a bonding experience for you and your son.
Very
So
much.
how, without going into much detail about it, but how old is your son?
Daniel just turned 13 yesterday.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah,
That is cool. So you told me that sometimes you guys go out to eat and you're at breakfast and you're
that's
talking
our
through
meeting.
some of your
We
ideas.
on Sunday mornings we go to breakfast and then we discuss what's the next show's theme going to be, what card we're going to show, and we love it.
That's so
We're just having a
special.
ball. We're enjoying ourselves, and we're constantly challenging ourselves to outdo the previous episode.
That's cool. I love it. I have something special for you here. Let's give people that never saw your show just a little taste here. Let me show
That'd
this.
be great.
So I
Oh
got some
wow.
pictures here. So these are some of the episodes you had. You went from outer space to the Wild Wild West.
Yes.
You're fishing down there at the bottom,
Uh,
but
uh,
uh, to do something special here, I wanted to show you my top 5 favorite costumes you've had on. So let's look at that
okay.
here. So at number
Uh,
5, I have your first pirate's outfit. The reason why it's not higher is you didn't have any shoes on that day. Do you?
well, I'm trying to look like I'm on a beach. I'm on a beach, Theo. Come on. Got them
You're
swim.
a pirate on a beach
That's
shoeless.
right.
And then the next one, you were in a war zone. You had a
Right.
gun there, I believe,
Modern
and
modern car dealers were bombarding us. I had to be ready to go. Mangini gave the order that we had to attack.
yeah, was that the one whenever I think that might have is that my favorite episode whenever you started off the episode and you were writing a letter home? You were in the Civil
You
War.
know, yes. And we were saying that they were going to invade Strongsville and try to set up some modern tables. And
That was
Mangini wasn't going to have it, and he ordered a strike.
that was such a good I
Uh,
love the cleverness of that intro. I just
thank
loved
you.
it so much.
Thank you.
Then the third one there, I couldn't include your dance partner there, but you want to talk a little bit about that one?
Well, it was a scene from Stormy Weather, Cab Calloway and Bojangles and the Nicholas Brothers. And I figured, well, you know what? Why not jump in the scene and dance a little bit and show a 1939 African tobacco Babe Ruth?
All right, and then here, I know everybody's at the edge of their seat here waiting for number 2 and number 1 here. So here it
Okay.
is. Here, number 2, I got
Uh-oh.
your classic outfit that you have. That's also your avatar for YouTube. I call it Dane Potter, like Harry
Well,
Potter.
yeah, that's yes, you could say that. That was a Harry Potter theme that Daniel and I did. We just got done watching Harry Potter movies. I introduced those to Daniel recently. I said, we should do a Harry Potter theme. And Daniel had things floating across the screen, and I was disappearing, and it was a lot of fun. And
And
then
then
Theo, number one, you had a big influence on that one. You
that
told me where
was
the card was.
yeah, that was a big day. You were down in a cave, and I think
Yes,
you had a parrot on your shoulder. Or no, the
yeah,
parrot was
off
in
to
the
the
screen
side there.
there.
Yes,
Yeah, and that was a good pirate outfit there. I really enjoyed that one. So
thank
that
you.
that was number 1 there.
That was the one I implied you gave me a tip while all of you were at Strongsville. I set sail and went into the cave because you told me this legendary Clemente rookie was there. And then you text me or said something. I think you texted me later on and said, I told you not to go in the cave. That's what made me laugh.
so so why don't you tell everybody? Do you just have a closet full of costumes? Are you buying these as you go? Like, what's
That's
what's the
funny.
story behind all these costumes?
I have to tell you, if there's one consistent comment that I never anticipated. It's people asking me about my wardrobe and where I get it. It's just clothes I have laying around. Believe it or not,
Really?
I just managed. Yes.
I thought
And
for
then
sure you were
no, I haven't
you
had
were
to
going to
really
like
buy
a fun
anything.
party store and ordering all these Halloween
Some
outfits and
previous
everything.
Halloween costumes. Some
Okay.
previous Halloween costumes have helped out also, but really, I don't think I've had to buy anything. I've had
Wow.
everything just. I've been. Yeah.
That is funny.
I once
I
took
mean,
first place in a Halloween contest dressing up like a pirate.
okay, there you go.
Yes. I spent more money on the costume than the prize.
When you do stuff, you go full out,
Oh,
it seems like. So let me flip the page here. My apologies. How many takes does it how many takes do you guys do when you guys are shooting a video? Like how long does the process take for sometimes your videos are only like 3 minutes long. So how long does that all take for you guys?
I'm like a pitcher. Sometimes I come out smoking and throwing fireballs, and sometimes I can't get it over the plate. But for the most part, I've been pitching some no hitters lately and doing one takes.
Wow.
But in the beginning, oh my goodness! Daniel and I often said we should have some of the outtakes and show those sometime, right, Daniel? Daniel's over my left shoulder. But yeah, generally I'd say. Now, recently we just did one. Tomorrow we're releasing one with Mangini, which, by the way, it's one of the best ones we ever did. It's one of my favorites, and I really insulted some of my best friends in YouTube and had some fun with all you being included. But to come back to your question, generally a couple hours, generally
Okay.
an hour, some a little longer, 2 hours, but I'd say on an average about an hour.
And since Daniel's sitting there off to the side, do you want to ask how long does it take him to edit the video down?
What'd you say?
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Wow, that's not too bad at all.
Yeah.
John 3D hopefully watches this. He takes hours. So
He does.
yeah.
Hmm.
All right. So Daniel, can you give us a quick history of your collecting? Like even from the first time you collected, maybe some of
Sure.
the lulls you had.
Little boy opening up wax packs, just like every little boy starts out collecting, going to the neighborhood store in Southwest Philadelphia, a water ice store, a pretzel, and a pack of cards. Isn't that great? I wish those stores, those mom and pop stores, and my grandfather owned a delicatessen, but he never sold baseball cards. A block down was strictly a water ice pretzel place, and they sold the baseball cards. And that's where I started picking up cards. And then it went to a strip. Do you remember the strip packs? And you used to look on the back to get a heads to see if anything good was on.
Yeah.
So for, I'd say, years, I collected football cards and hockey cards and baseball cards. And I have to tell you, and I'm sure I'm not alone, I never, ever thought about what they'd be worth in the future. I just loved, at the end of the day, laying them on the floor, making comparisons with stats. And if I had the Phillies, I made them take on another team and see who would win card-wise, create lineups. And that's how I scored as to who won that particular game that I was playing. I was very creative in the way I had fun with my cards besides just looking at them. And then as I got older, I mean, I know people are going to be upset me calling it the junk wax era, but that era, we all thought we were going to become millionaires in 20 years, 30 years. And that's when money and investment started coming into view. And I think I bought cases of the Upper Deck, 89 Upper Deck. And everything was factory sealed sets for me at that point. Factory sealed sets, putting them on the shelf, and it was a shame because you never got a chance to see the cards. You're collecting cards in factory sealed sets with the anticipation these things are going to go through the roof. But I was in my young, late teens, young 20s at that point. And then, children came along, the things become a priority. And you know what else I was thinking of? I was just mentioning this to John Mangini, if he remembers the Gartland statues. You remember those?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, I collected those. I love those things.
Oh, wow.
My first one might have been a Ted Williams one, actually. There was a Gretzky. There was a whole bunch of good ones out there. But then I took a little hiatus, and then right around the pandemic, right before it, I contacted a dealer who I was recommended by a friend, and I said, I would like to invest some money in cards. And the first card I invested in was a 56 Mantle in an 8. And then from that point on, I would assemble collections, some incredible collections. But other things would take precedence over cards. If I'm going to sell real estate or stocks or gold, I'd rather sell my cards. And I just love the whole idea of reassembling and starting the hunt and the chase all over again. I know some people are ready to throw tomatoes at the screen right now for me saying that, not buying and holding forever. But that just never was my style. That was never my style. And whether it would be buying another house or needing furniture for another house that I had, that was always the first to go. But I always knew if you have enough money, you could go reassemble. And I have to tell you the truth, every single time my collection was better and better. This time around, I wanted to take the viewer, and that's what was the whole premise of my first episode and what launched this channel at Classy Sports Cards, was to take the viewer on a journey with me as I go through the year and I assemble a collection. Mm. And that's exactly where I'm in the middle of now. You're right. We just hit the 7-month mark, and it's been fun. I hope everybody that's been coming along for the ride with us is enjoying it, and that they're entertained and they really are seeing some great cards. The best cards I've ever owned in my life.
Yeah, they are pretty spectacular. So can I go? I want to go back a little bit because, yeah, like you said, I think a lot of people will hear, you had this idea to invest before COVID, and you took somebody's advice and you got a PSA 8 mantle, and I guess if somebody's watching this, and see, this is my take on it, and to each your own. My take on it is it probably worked out pretty good for you because you bought them before such a spike, right? But my take now is, if somebody came to me and said, I want to just invest in cards, not collect them, I would be skittish on giving somebody a straight answer on something like that. So it seems like it worked out, but
Yeah.
and I would say we're in a different spot right now than we were then. So you actually agree with that too?
I agree that I would make sure that I had all my other T's crossed and I's dotted as far as saying that sports cards are an investment. Years ago, I probably would say that. Now I think everything's very inflated, and you'd be taking a high risk chance. I mean, what would you rather do? Put it into a stock that's paying a dividend, a sure thing, versus a Mickey Mantle cards, which they're very, very high, but they're probably the best opportunity for you to get a return on your investment. I have everything else at this age in this stage of my life, so I can take that chance, a certain amount of money, create a collection, and hope for the best in the future, which I have a specific strategy, which I'll let you ask me about that down the road here in our interview, and I'll go into that in more detail.
Nice. So, unless it's going into that question, how you talked about you want to collect for a year on YouTube and build a collection. Is there a certain number of finite cards then, where you pinpointed a certain number of finite cards where it's 25, 30 cards and you're getting these, or is it by the seat of your pants where you're picking cards as you go? Like, that's where I guess I'm trying to figure you out there.
Well, because I'm conscientious of being consistent for the YouTube channel, I used to just wing it from the seat of my pants. Whatever I liked, I bought, and that was it. Yeah. But now that I know that I'm taking the viewers on the journey, I've been making periodic pit stops through doing mock press conferences, and I'm in the process of it now of catching everybody up as to where I am at the halfway point. And I'm releasing episodes all throughout this month showing exactly what I have at this point in the process. And then at the end of the year, I'll show where I'm at. But there have been so many trades, so many sales and reacquisitions on a few cards. I am a mad scientist, and probably the George Steinbrenner of collecting, because I have a very difficult time sitting still. The strategy has become very honed in. I like who I like, and I'm going to invest in those cards and treat it almost like a roster, like a 25, 30-man roster. And I want the best cards that I can possibly acquire for the budget that I've allotted. And if I see a card that I like better, if it doesn't stand up to the other cards that I'd purchased, well, one of them gets, something's got to go. So I'm being very disciplined about that. I'm really curious because I really feel I'm super honed in right now. I'm really curious to see where I stand a year from now. Okay. I mean, 6 months from now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that'll be a year time, right?
Yep.
You said I love you. I love when you do the press conferences. I love that idea. I've thought about that in the past, and I love that you did it, and it's such a cool concept. I'm waiting for one where you get really mad at the interviewer and
I've done that.
you you slam down the microphone and you pull
Well,
playoffs, playoffs.
I
Or
did something similar to that. I've been playing off the word eccentric and telling them, having the reporters jab at me by calling me eccentric and me taking offense to it and
yeah.
acting extremely upset. And meanwhile, we had to do a couple takes because I ended up busting out laughing and then get it together again. And I'll tell you what, my acting skills have really come around. My drama teacher in college would have been really happy with me.
You said something in a press conference that I thought was interesting, and I think it's an interesting thing for people to talk about.
Look at you
You
doing
said
your homework. Look
you
at
you said you've bought in cards off of dealers that have great eye appeal, and you'll
I
go
bought
back.
cards.
You'll go. They have great eye appeal, and you'll go back to that dealer. Now, granted, like I said, correct me if I say anything wrong here. You'll go back to that dealer and try to sell it back to them, and now
No,
the
I'll try to
dealer,
reacquire it off the one I recently sold a card to Howard.
yeah,
I sold Howard. I made a trade. Okay, this is going to hit
okay,
home for you.
yeah. Let me hear it.
I was looking for a Clemente rookie for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I finally saw one, and I thought that I would take my chances. Are you ready? Selling my Ted Williams Wilson Frank.
Oh,
So I
wow.
said, okay, and I'll be happy to show that a little bit. So I sold Howard my Wilson Frank, acquired the SGC6, which was beautiful, Roberto Clemente rookie, and I figured, okay, I don't have the funds now to maintain both, but I'm going to go after that rookie because I've been looking for a Clemente rookie forever. And I thought I found the one. And then I said, I'll get a Wilson Frank down the road. Well, couple of months went by and I had no luck. And still,
Yeah,
you
they're
rarely
rare.
see these. Yeah, I realized that. And I also knew I wasn't exaggerating in that video that I did inside the cave. I knew of this one that existed from this dealer that I had been negotiating with for, gosh, months. I kept bothering them. And finally, I got the right price on it. And then I went back to Howard, and Howard sold me back to Wilson Frank. And that was a real seller's remorse. I'll never part with, I should never say never, but the Wilson Frank, I learned my lesson on that one. I mean, I do have my share of regrets throughout the course of these 6 months
Yeah.
of cards I wish I hadn't sold. But then there's also been a lot of acquisitions where I look brilliant, and there's other times where I look totally crazy. But that's
Well,
what? That's part of the fun for
hey,
me.
that's good that he didn't sell it yet and you got it back. I'm happy to hear that.
I was really fortunate.
That's good. Um, the other thing is, you do buy a good amount of cards with the Mike Baker and the PWCC sticker, and that's
You know,
obviously been a pain point for some of the collectors out there that think that 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 those cards are getting inflated falsely, or that why are we letting him put a sticker on it and say it's a high eye appeal. So I'd love to hear if you have a contrarian
thank you.
opinion. I'd love to hear it, buddy.
I'm glad I had a chance to clarify that because I've matured in my thinking there. Not a whole lot, because as I said many times in each of the videos, I don't care if it has 50 stickers on it. I like what I like, and there's a certain eye appeal that I go for. And if another organization, independent organization, is confirming my thinking, great. But
Yeah.
that purchase is not influenced because of that sticker. That purchase is influenced by my eye. And oh, by the way, it just so happens to have those stickers, but I really could care less about those stickers.
Yeah.
So I'm real clear on that.
Yeah,
I mean, I
and
hope I'm clear.
I think that's very fair. And what I'll tell somebody is what I've heard is I've had friends that have submitted cards to these bigger auction houses, and some of the auction houses offer that as a service. And a lot of my friends have said, "Sure, I'll take you up on it. You're telling me that you can put a sticker on my card and make me more money? Okay, so." It is what it is. Like you're saying, it is what it is. If that card suits your eye, it suits
Great.
your eye, and it had a sticker
Right.
already. What are you going to
Just so
do about
happens to have a
it?
sticker, great. But I'm not
Yeah,
buying
what are we going to
because
do about it at this point?
what I don't like is there's inconsistencies. There's times where I think, oh wow, okay, they have the majority of this right. And there's times where there's been cards I've saw that have no business having stickers on it. So it's lost a little bit of credibility with me.
Yeah.
And not the kind of consistency I like to see.
Yeah.
I don't go by those stickers. I'm telling you, I go by my eye. I trust my eye.
So an off the cuff question here is, and
Sure.
it's something that we talk about a lot in the hobby is buy the eye appeal, buy the eye appeal. And I know
Yeah,
you're on a real centering kick with eye appeal also. I think you're
always
in the
have been.
Dylan school of centering, but yeah,
No, no. Even
yeah.
before Dylan. Before Dylan. My whole
I,
life.
I believe you. So my question though is the $1 million question is always how much higher do you pay over? Do you even look at comps? Do you just go, okay, this is a perfect copy. It doesn't matter. It's a 3. Is there any type of guardrails up? Like, how do you personally try to balance out the cost of that card?
Well, I've always resented dealers charging a premium on the great eye appealing cards. I don't like it when it's their turn to be sold to, and then they want to strictly quote comps. That's
Hmm.
not fair. That's not classy. So I want them to use the same standards as when they're selling, also when they're buying back. And the dealers I've been dealing with now they know how I am, and they know the amount of business that I'm going to do with them. And I have to say, I won't deal with a dealer unless they're fair to me like that. The Ashes of the world, the Howards, the Champion Sports Cards. Those guys I've been dealing with, all 3 of them for years,
That's
years
good.
and years. Yeah.
I'm waiting for
Did that
somebody
answer
to.
it?
Yeah, it does. I'm waiting for somebody to say the opposite because this is similar to what you're saying. I feel like a lot of dealers, if they have a bad eye appeal card, they'll price it at comps. And I get it. They're trying to make money, but then they have a nice eye appeal card and they're pricing way over comps. Well, why is that bad eye appeal card not worth less than if they have that opinion?
Great
Like
point.
it's I've yet to watch a YouTuber go, this card, it's a 5. It looks horrible for a 5. I bought it for a 2 price because of the
Yeah.
eye appeal. I've yet to hear, but nobody wants to say anything bad about their cards either. So I get that side of things.
Right.
But I've yet to hear the other side of things of, hey, that 5 looks like a 2. I'm going to pay a 2 or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing out hypotheticals, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yes. And I want to just go back to your initial question. I have paid more than I should for cards. Again, I said I'm the George Steinbrenner of collecting, so I'll overpay for a player. If I like something, I go get it. And I generally don't look at comps, although I've been trying to call up people such as yourself, and you've been keeping me in check and in line. I appreciated that on a couple things I ran by you. And I need to do more of that. But when I like something, especially the Clemente and a few other things that I'll show, if I like it, it's a done deal. Don't hope no dealers are watching this because they're going to take advantage of me. I have a love-hate with dealers.
So let's I have a couple questions here that'll help us show some of your collection, which is a great collection. The first one is who is your favorite player to collect, and could you explain why and show some cards?
Sure.
Yeah.
Ted Williams. I think he has a great story. There's a lot of depth to him. I competed in martial arts for 25 years all across the country. And I know what it takes to be a champion. I won world championships regionally, nationally, kickboxing. And I know what it takes to be a champion. It takes a fanaticism that I recognized in Ted Williams, not to compare myself to Ted Williams per se, but there's a characteristic in him that I admire, whether he was fly fishing, saltwater fishing, flying a jet. I mean, look at the levels in which he took each of those things that I just mentioned. He's in 4 Hall of Fames. And John Glenn said he was one of the best pilots he ever saw. And, oh, by the way, probably the best hitter we've ever seen. So everything he did, he was a fanatic. And I'm a fanatic. And there has to be a little bit of ego and an eccentricness to being great. And also selfishness. And that's why I'm glad I'm out of it, because not everything should be about me, me, me. I had my time. It's about my children now. It's about giving back. And I think that you're going to gravitate toward people that resonate with you. And Ted Williams does. Not only that, my grandfather was from Boston. So he bragged about Ted Williams. And he's the one that initially got me interested in or aware of Ted Williams when I was young. And that's what brought on wanting to collect more of his cards than other people. Mickey
That's
Mantle.
awesome.
And now, I think so many collectors can say they've evolved. You couldn't even talk to me about vintage back when I was in my early 20s, late teens. Now that's all I want. I evolved. And I
Yeah.
think that even these modern people, or modern collectors now, these kids, or even, younger adults, I think they'll be there. I think they'll come around too. I think they'll eventually evolve and get interested in the cards that now we have grown to love so much.
Yeah.
You
I hope
see
so.
something?
Yeah, I do. Why don't you show some of your favorite Ted Williams cards? I'm gonna.
Well, first of all, I have to pay tribute to you. Now, all right, we practiced this, so I'm hoping that's the rookie, and this I'm not going to do it justice right now because I'm still an amateur being on shows, so you have to bear with me. But I'm going to tell you something. When you go on my channel, you'll see this
Yes,
is one of the best centered Clementes you would ever want to see. And I don't
it
say that about
is.
every single one of my cards, but it's a beauty. It really is.
It is.
So
It's
that's my
amazing.
tribute to you tonight. And of
Thank you
course,
for showing that.
you're welcome. And then how about a Wilson Frank?
The one you got back, huh?
The one I got back in a 3. Beautiful condition, considering it was inside a hot dog package, right?
Yeah.
And
How's the back of it look? Is
really
it
good,
clean?
solid. Yes, it's clean. Very. Look at that.
Wow.
You wouldn't even
Holy
know.
cow.
There's not a stain on it.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an iconic card. I
Yes, it
think
is.
if anybody's a Boston fan or a Ted Williams fan, you have to have that on your list. It's awesome.
I bleed, Philadelphia, the Eagles. But when I was a kid, because of my grandfather, I cheered for the Bruins during the Stanley Cup years of the Flyers and the Cowboys when I was, under 10 years old. And then I saw the light. And
Yeah.
loved Randall Cunningham and loved Eric Lindros and the Eagles. And now I bleed green. I mean, I cry if they lose. That's how upset I get.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to end the conversation. I can't talk it to you anymore. I, I, man, I don't like Philadelphia fans in general. Even though everybody that I've met on here that is a Philadelphia fan is a very nice person.
Ray's a good guy,
It's
right?
just
Ray from Ray,
Ray's a good
right?
guy.
Is it Razor Bay? There
Joe
you go.
Forsoff Corners is a nice
Yes.
guy. There's
Well, I'll tell you that.
Tony's a good guy.
Mhm.
I just anytime they play our team in the same stadium, they're the most obnoxious fan I've ever been around in my life.
I can see why you say that. I would never wear an opposing jersey to that to
Yeah,
Philadelphia Stadium. No way.
yeah, yeah. So, can we move on to the next question, or you had something else
Absolutely.
about Ted
Sure.
Williams?
No.
Okay. All right. So the next question I have for you is, what's a card that reminds you of your childhood and why?
All righty. I'm glad I didn't jump the gun on that one. I'm coming home with my mom from shopping, and I told this on my one of my shows, and Daniel fell asleep behind me.
We're that boring. This is not looking good for us.
Well, that says anything about the viewership we're about to get. My mom and I were shopping, and we came home, and my grandfather was sitting on our balcony, and he was waving a Bobby Orr jersey. And this was during the time in which the Flyers were winning Stanley Cups, but I'm 7 years old. And of course, I put the Bobby Orr jersey on and wore it to the point where it had holes in it everywhere. So I became very much a fan of Bobby Orr, which that wasn't very popular to be a fan of Bobby Orr in Philadelphia. So I always said I'd like to get a Bobby Orr rookie card. So where do you see this one? This is. Let me see if I can really show this off. I'm not doing it just. Oh wait a minute, there we go. Whoop. Not bad.
Wow.
The
Yeah, it's
centering is phenomenal. I won't even buy a card if the centering is not phenomenal. It's a 4, ironically, Bobby Orr's number, and the back is great. Center
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah. So
That is
Philadelphia
cool.
guy showing a Bobby Orr card. Imagine that.
Yeah. One of the guys on here that loves hockey cards is Terry. TJ's online. He would love that card. So I hope he gets to watch this. That's a beautiful card.
Thank you.
I love this story too. So the last question I had for you is, tell me about a time tell me a story about meeting an athlete.
I've met a lot of them. But I actually, when I saw this question, when you proposed this to me, I have a lot of them, but I think you're going to get a kick out of this one. I was doing a martial arts camp during the summer at a really prestigious camp, and they brought in incredible athletes. I knew the owner very well, and he would spare no expense to bring the best in their field so that the overnight campers could learn football from professional football players and the hockey players, and they brought me in, coaches in basketball, and Phil Martelli, and just so many other great names of in basketball, and Flyers, Brindamore and Hextall, and all the greats of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So Bob Kelly happens to be there. Now, he was older at the time, and he comes up to me. Now, remember, picture this now. Bob Kelly comes up to me. So this is a player in my childhood, and I really liked Bob Kelly and Dave Schultz. So Bob Kelly comes up to me and says, "Hey, I'd like to work out with you sometime." So, of course, I'm trying to temper my enthusiasm. I said, "Bob," I said it very calmly with a good poker face. I said, "Bob, that'd be great. I'd like to have you." Bob would come to my studio. He would always, listen to this, always bring me something to drink. He would bring himself something, but he'd always hand me a drink. Can you imagine that? Wow. Then I admired his championship ring. He takes it off and hands it to me. He says, "Try it on." Now, just when you think it hasn't gotten much better, I wish more athletes conducted themselves in this fashion. We went in the back and fought. I'm fighting Bob the Hound Kelly, and I'm pinching myself saying, "Am I really fighting Bob the Hound Kelly?" Now,
Wow.
His skill level, wasn't much. He was a hockey fighter, but I was a trained professional. But it still was so cool just to be having some fun with Bob Kelly. He was very heavy-handed, he had big fists, and we were having a lot of fun. And I had to stop so many times during the match and say, "Am I actually fighting Bob Kelly right now?" And I had fought world champions. So it wasn't the degree of proficiency or his skill level. It's the fact that it was Bob Kelly. I was fighting my childhood hero, watching him duke it out many times on the ice as a kid. So that
cool.
Really was fun. And then one more little side one. I was Allen Iverson's bodyguard for a night.
What?
Yes.
Practice?
So, practice. We're talking practice. Well, it's funny because I really don't even know how I got myself in this mess, but somebody asked me to come to one of the best nightclubs. Now, I don't drink. I don't smoke. I never did drugs in my life. I never had a cup of coffee? Never had a cup of coffee. Don't drink soda.
Wow, you're depriving yourself.
Hey, I just want to take care of my body. And there's certain times where I'll indulge and have some fun, but I never touched any of those things. I mean, never had a beer, never. So I'm working at a nightclub of all places, and it was one of the hottest ones in Philadelphia. So all the professional athletes would come in there. Allen Iverson comes in and he says, I'm Italian, but he said, "I want the Puerto Rican guy to watch after me." So I had to keep everybody away from him. I'm 6 foot, 180. So I'm not an overly big guy. So, but they knew that I could speak and present myself in not a thug-like way. And I have to say to myself, do you believe this? I'm sitting here next to Allen Iverson, which I was nowhere near in all of as I was Bob Kelly. Because I just didn't like the way he held himself. And then he had to go to the bathroom, and rather than say to me, "Hey, Daniel, could you be kind enough to take me to the bathroom, or escort me to the bathroom so that I don't get harassed?" He just looked at me and said, "Bathroom." And then I had to interpret that and say, "You want to go to the bathroom?" And he said, "Bathroom." So I had to understand that language, and I took him to the bathroom, and that was that. But I'm sure you can say the same thing. Sometimes it's not a good idea to meet the athletes you like or admire.
Yes.
Sometimes it'll blow everything out the window. It's like telling them there's no Santa Claus. And I don't like the way certain athletes conduct themselves because they can hit a ball or dunk a basketball or hit a golf ball or whatever the case may be. And that's what I love about coming full circle to the YouTube community, the vintage YouTube community. How extremely friendly everybody was. Everybody who I reached out to reciprocated. They accepted my the fact that I was reaching out to them and asking them to do something with me, or asking Greg has been phenomenal to me, phenomenal. Mangini has been phenomenal. Orlando has been phenomenal, and so have you. And I'm grateful to all you guys for the way you've treated my son and I. Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem, man. That's how it is. This community is amazing, and I think
Tremendous.
that's why you see these guys sticking around and having these friendships and going to these card shows, because the card shows are a lot of work and it's time away from your
Yeah.
family and stuff like that. And the reason why people are willing to make that sacrifice is because the true friendships you start forming on here for sure.
Strongsville was never on my radar, but because of all you guys, it is now. I hope to attend that next year.
Yeah, you're gonna be there. I'll
Okay.
send somebody to your house to get you.
Okay.
You're coming. All right. Let me ask you this real quick. Since you're in since you're in that arena, has UFC been like a huge boon for you and your company? Like as a bunch of kids now, like, I want to be a UFC fighter. So it's all of a sudden transformed something that was more not as many people interested, and now a bunch of people are interested, or has it been pretty much the same? It doesn't really matter.
Well, you have to understand that martial arts, when I was coming up, it was what style was the best. Shotokan's the best. Kung Fu's the best. Taekwondo's the best. Bruce Lee had it right all along. He gave it a flowery name and called it Jeet Kune Do, which translated means simply eclectic. That's my interpretation of it. It's an eclectic system. Well, fast forward, 50 years, it's called mixed martial arts. I always appreciated at the heart of my training that no one style was the best. I love boxing. I consider myself I love boxing. I'm just going to say, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I love boxing. I love kickboxing. I think you definitely need to know how to handle yourself on the ground. And you want a school that's going to encompass all of that. Kicking, punching, grappling, in tight. My thing was, I loved the competition side of things. I loved sport karate and kickboxing the most. That's what I was the most proficient at. That's where I'm the most decorated in winning world championships and hundreds of grand championships. And I'm really, that's where my love is. Kickboxing and sport karate. It's like a game of karate tag, like fencing. Who can hit who first? Yeah. Very much tactical, very much speed. I thought when I first saw the beginnings of UFC,
yeah, MMA,
very barbaric. It was missing a guy with a reef on his head going like this with a thumb up and down. I hated it. It was so barbaric. There was no weight classes. People were dropping elbows on people's faces. It was horrible. I wasn't a fan of it at all. Now they've cleaned it up. Now they've implemented rules, which was much needed because someone was going to die. And now it's more popular in boxing. I mean, can you tell me I used to be able to tell you all the champions in every weight class in boxing. I couldn't do that now. Yeah. And the money seems to be, the big fights seem to be in UFC.
Yeah, they do.
No doubt about it,
So we're getting towards the end now. We'll have some time after this, but I always ask 10 questions in 1 minute. Do you think you're quick enough? You might be quick enough with your hands and feet, but are you quick enough? Are you quick enough to beat the challenge? You think you can do it?
Well, I think so.
Okay, I got the timer here.
Okay.
Let me see where. I'm not going to flip over the timer until I ask you the first question. I'm going to try my best to ask these questions quickly.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee?
Bruce Lee.
Okay. What is the best 1960s top set?
The best 1960s top set?
Yes.
Hurry
up. Hurry up. Did you answer?
Pass.
Greatest gangster movie.
I missed that. Sorry. Say it again.
Greatest gangster movie.
The Godfather.
Okay. What Game 7 of the World Series, who's your starting pitcher?
Sandy Koufax.
Best place to go on vacation?
Montana.
Flair or Star? Which one's the Michael Jordan rookie?
Flair.
What's the best place to get a cheesesteak?
Believe it or not, a place in Swarthmore near me at a restaurant. Not what you'd think, Pasadena. Sorry.
Rookie cards overrated?
No.
Who's the greatest player you ever watched?
In what sport?
Any sport. The best player you ever watched, period.
Now that's now see, that's not right. that one tripped me up because
You were answering the cheesecake question for like
I was
way too
going
long.
fast. As soon as you
You
said, "Who's the
didn't. You
greatest
couldn't
one?"
even name your favorite '60s top set. Come
No,
on.
no.
Don't blame me. Don't blame
The
me.
simpler ones got me, but this one really got me because I have a great in each category. I mean, player. I mean, of course, I'm going to say Bobby Orr, right? I like Bobby Orr,
That's
so I
the
have to put
greatest
my
player you
light.
ever watched.
Mhm.
That's the
I would
greatest
say
player
for
you ever
hockey,
watched.
Bobby Orr. But that could be disputed with Gretzky. I think Tom Brady, quarterback wise, if I want to have a quarterback that's going to play one game for me, bet it's Tom Brady, right?
Yep.
Boxing, I think Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson, pound for pound, was the greatest boxer ever. Basketball, I think Wilt or Jordan.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got to go Jordan, right?
Yeah, probably, but I wouldn't rule out Wilt. Jim Brown. I mean,
I couldn't even get to my last question, which was a really good one.
go ahead.
It was Brocky versus Mangini. Who wins?
Mangini.
If you would have just got to that question, you would have been done, man. I know. I know. Hey, yo, Mangini.
I'm taking Mangini. Tomorrow we're gonna have a lot of fun with Mr. Mangini, and I had a lot of fun putting together what we did.
Can't wait to watch it.
You may never have me on again after what I said about you.
No. So I'll give you some time to talk here, but I did want to say to anybody that watches that stuck around this long, Daniel is a best-selling author. Can we call you a best-selling author, Daniel?
No, not quite. Not quite.
Well, Daniel's written a couple books. I got one right here. He's written 3, and I'm really enjoying this first book so far. I really appreciate you sending these my way. I've been really enjoying it. You're such a complex individual. I can't believe the life you've lived so far. It's been really cool to just be your friend now. It's really cool.
Thank you, Theo. The feelings are mutual. The Adventures of Dane Traveler stem from me having cancer and then reflecting on my life. Me, cancer? I never did drugs, drank, smoked. I took care of my body. I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma 3 times. And each of the books takes you from the point of me having cancer and then reflecting on my life, whether it be in a bear den holding a mother's cubs, or holding Wild Bill Hickok's gun in my hand, or in a shark cage, or flying a parachute and crashing into a cornfield, or scuba diving 50 feet down into a shipwreck. And I don't want to spoil all the stories in the book, but it's my life outside of the martial arts. Yes. And then it comes full circle to me having an epiphany of what's really important in life, my relationship with Jesus Christ, which I'm not ashamed to ever admit to. That's at the essence of the most important thing in my life, is my relationship with Jesus Christ.
Great testimony. I will tell you, Daniel, you've put in a few clips in some of your episodes, and like one was where you were holding the bear cubs, and one was where you were holding the gun, and one was where you were holding the violin. And I just absolutely love those touches. It's been really, really cool. Like, it almost makes those chapters in the books like jump off the page now, seeing the video with it. So it's been really, really cool to put the two together.
I've been able to resurrect that footage and implement it in these videos that I've been doing for showing the cards now. It's been a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I covered everything I wanted to cover. Did we not cover anything?
My debut, was I okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can have you back on. Hopefully it wasn't like too painful for you.
No, I absolutely enjoyed myself. This was so much fun. It really was.
That's good, and I think it's good to, the characters and the channel are awesome and very entertaining. But it's cool to see. It's cool to see this side of you also, the side that I've seen over the phone and things like that in conversations with you. So this has been really enjoyable, and I hope other people enjoy seeing this side of you also. So
I want to say this again. I think I've said it 2 times. I want to make it 3 because I can't say it enough. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, John Mangini. Thank you, Orlando. Thank you yourself, Theo. You guys have really welcomed me into the community, and you haven't acted like a stuck-up athlete who disappoints, because I'd watched you guys for years, and you exceeded my expectations. So I really appreciate how down to earth all of you are, and how welcoming you all are into the community by supporting a small channel at this point in time, like myself, and having me on your show or plugging my channel. And I really appreciate that a lot. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. And that reminds me, I'm going to have the link down below. Please go check out Classy Sports Cards. Like I said, Daniel and his son are doing an awesome job, just having a lot of fun, showing some great cards. Check out their channel. We would appreciate it on For Collectors. Please go check out their channel. But that's it, Daniel. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Theo. Appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you to anybody that watched. If you watched all the way to the end, put #classy down below. I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Oh, love my hobby. Keep collecting baseball cards.
But hey, we want to keep the lights on here at For Collectors Studios, so hit the like button for us, guys.
So thanks everybody for coming, and yeah, we'll see you next time on For Collectors.
All right, guys, have a great rest of your night. Subscribe to the For Collectors channel if you haven't done so yet, and see you soon.
All right, guys. Clemente Collector has said we hit a grand slam, so that makes me feel good.